All right, all right, all right. I appreciate y'all joining today. This is Ricardo Billanzar, and we're coming to you once again. It is Thursday, it's a live stream, and just checking the chat to see how many people are jumping on. But for those who watching the recording, if it's a week later, a month later, whatever it may be, just wanted to let you all know that I'm really looking forward to doing these live streams and these videos, and it's something about helping other people. So hopefully if you're watching this, you're going to learn something. If you missed the first couple of videos, go back to my YouTube channel, just Ricardo Ben Lazar, and I'll make sure obviously it's posted on YouTube. Um, and yeah, my blog posting as well. We'll make sure that is available. So yeah, I hope you all have fun, and let's go and jump into today's lesson. So as a recap, we got two viewers on already. I appreciate that. Um, let's see. Let me get a shout out. So who's on the line right now? Got some chat? Throw me something in the chat real quick. See who's on. But anyway, so I'll go and go with the recap. So, well, actually, I don't think I've done this in a while, and maybe it's some new viewers. So a little bit about myself. I've been in technology for the longest time. I think my first Windows was it was before 95, but the 95 was the one I had at home. But either way, I've been doing technology for a while, just as a personal thing, and ended up in technology and business. So now I spend all my time auditing technology, and it gives me a different perspective. So someone that went from working with it, building computers, even when I got some certificates in security, I have a number of those. Really don't mention those much because honestly, I'm not trying to be a paper tiger as they call them, or someone that just gets the certificates all the time. I try to get deep down in it, use my what I've learned, use the equipment I have, and I'd go through it. We do a play by play, and after you're joining this streaming, this live streaming session for, is to work through something together that you can make use of, hopefully. So, the first couple of sessions have been about virtualization, and this will be wrapping up and rounding out what we've learned so far. So, one thing I do like to remind people is that I try my best to teach others what I do know, but that does not mean I'm not learning myself. In fact, our last session, uh, one of our viewers dropped some knowledge in there in the chat I was not aware of, and I believe it was about the desktop and how desktop sits in your memory, your RAM. So I was really intrigued by that. That's a part of some of the video chats you can look at a little later. So let me move this off screen. Give me 1 second. Just my hard disk. Okay, let's go ahead and pull this back up. All right. So, like I said, last couple of sessions we've been doing virtualization. We went over virtualization. We went over hypervisors. We've gone over VirtualBox, which is a hosted hypervisor that's free and open source. We've also touched on Docker, and today what we're going to be doing is finishing out a a VirtualBox virtual machine that we started with, CentOS, and we had to had some hiccups along the way. I changed a setting that I had no idea what it was going to do. Ended up stopping the entire boot from happening. Went into emergency mode. So the last session, I actually spent the time reconfiguring, well, setting up the virtual machine again. So we're going to round out some of the steps that I had not got to yet. And then we're going to go into the Docker session, which I think I kind of raced through a little bit last time and did not have what I needed to have on screen to help those users out there with Windows. So today you're in for a treat. I talked to a friend of mine. He put me on an application for me I did not know existed, which was Team Viewer. So I actually have my one of my Windows boxes, native window boxes, on the side here, and we're going to do a team view and get that pulled up on the screen. So let's go and get everything set up. So I'm gonna do a team viewer real quick. Okay. So if you're not aware of what Team Viewer is a tool for remote assistance. So if you have a friend or family member that's really knowledgeable about something on a computer and you just don't feel comfortable doing what they're asking you to do, you can always just get this application. You sign in using a ID and a passcode it presents, and then the person making the connection can then operate the other computer. All right, so it says not connected. Let's go ahead and try this again. See if I can refresh it. Let's see. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and reset this one. I'm telling you, it would be right now. I've been using this all day, and right now is giving me a problem. So let's go ahead and try to log back into this box again. There we go. All right. So once you put in their ID, it's going to ask for a password from the other user's screen. They're going to give it to you, and it does rotate, so I don't mind. And you can't see it on screen anyway. But even if you did see it, the password rotates after each use. So it's pretty secure from at least from that standpoint. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. All right. So this is my other desktop on my Windows machine. I can even empty out the recycling bin. I have full control over my Windows box. So I'm doing this because we're going to cover, as I said, the Docker installation on a Windows platform. I had a colleague of mine today who has a Mac who told me that they were running into issues because they have a slightly older Mac. And yeah, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and get started with that now. Hold on one second. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna start the first chat. Okay, so what I want to do real quick because it's gonna probably take the least amount of time, is let's round out where we stopped on the virtual machine that we reinstalled last time. So I named it "This One Works." Pull it back on screen here. It's gonna get it started up. All right. All right. So I do want to know, out of everyone that joined the last session or the last couple of sessions, how many of you all have been able to finish out some of these builds? If you're able to finish out the virtual machine on your own from the last session, drop a one in the chat. I'd like to know because that just shows me you're putting a little more effort in. You're doing some homework on the side, and I'm excited. I love to see people trying and growing on their own as well. I'm here to help you, but I can't walk through every single step all the time. So I like to see people putting a little extra effort in there. And in fact, this is a great time to bring up my blog. So this is the blog I have for each of you. This is from the last session. Oh, you know what? I just thought about it. Probably want to do view. So if you missed anything, you can always go to my blog itself. Take a look at all the entries we have so far. So we have the VirtualBox one, the walkthrough, the CentOS. CentOS has 9. Yeah, I could definitely link the blog again, not a problem. Um, and then Docker, that's the most recent one. So I posted it today, and we're gonna cover a lot of this stuff now anyway. Just want to make sure you're aware of this out there, okay? All right, so let me go and get the post out here like I just said I would do. Copy and paste it. Here we go. And I appreciate all the feedback I've been getting off camera, obviously, just through chats or messaging I've been getting. It's really helped out a lot. So this whole blog started because someone said they thought it'd be helpful. Turns out they were right. We had one person already today tell me that they felt a little lost during the live sessions and they found the blog to be very helpful. So I'm glad to hear that. And my wife even said it's really detailed. I don't know how to take that, but I'm gonna take it as a compliment. Um, all right, let me go and log in here. So this is the CentOS 9 operating system that we installed on the virtual machine. Now, one thing we did not do, so last time we left off, this was actually still installing all the packages and needs to actually boot up and everything. And at the very end, you accept the EULA, the agreement, and then you end up with a screen kind of like this. There's a pop-up that happens, and you say yes or no to it. It's a tour pop-up. You don't have to do the tour. And all this is in the blog as well. It gives you screenshots of all that. What I'm going to do is just click on this, get the desktop. Now, what I want to point out to everybody is, first of all, I'm currently stuck in this window, right? I cannot leave this virtual machine. So what we're going to do next is actually going to help us a lot with handling this situation, where it makes it more of a fluid movement between the virtual machine and your host machine. Your host machine is the one that you're actually on the keyboard that you're typing on, right? That's your host machine. This is a virtual machine. So what we're going to do is set up guest editions on this virtual machine. The first thing we need to do is we need to be outside of the box. On the bottom right corner, you see where it says control key. That's your host key. So we're going to pop out. Now I can get out of the box. I can click over if I wanted to. I'm going to put this right in the center. The one thing I want to show you as well, if I blow up, if I maximize the window, it does nothing for my view of the virtual machine. It does not expand and fill the window, which is really irritating, especially depending on how small your laptop screen may be. So let's fix that now. We're going to go over to devices. We're going to do insert guest edition CD images. All right. All right, check this out. So when we do that, it's going to insert itself into a virtual CD-ROM. We're going to click on Run. I want that to run. So I'm going to hit Capture again, click the Run button. And at this point, it's going to ask you for elevated rights. So it's going to use a password that you set up in the last session for yourself because you made yourself an administrator of the machine. So that means once you do your password, it puts you into elevated privileges. So right now, you got one of two things are going to happen now. And I've done Linux for a very long time. One thing is it will run smoothly, have no issues. Second, you're going to run into a problem. So let me see what we end up with this one. So it says this may take a minute, gives you some additional output about building modules and how to work around. And let's see. When you know it? See, it failed. All right. So I did not want this to happen, but it did, right? So starting building kernel. Okay, so it says mod probe VBox guest failed. Okay, let's go and copy. And we can also look at the log. Let's see. Let's take a look at what the log says. So I'm gonna copy this first. Let's put this into a text. Let's see if I have a text. Yeah, I have a text editor right here. I want to save what we're coming up across right now. So I'm gonna just, this is the first thing I got. I'm gonna use that a little later, maybe. And then it says, let's check out what this log does. This log says about what happens. So I'm gonna copy this. Now, we'll give you a pro tip when it comes to copying. You can actually right click and then go to copy, or you use the shortcut on your keyboard, which is Control Shift, then C. And that allows you to interact with the terminal, which is the command line you're looking at now. All right, so I'm also going to paste this for later so I remember what it is. All right, let's pop back over to the terminal. And now I'm going to push enter, close that out, open another terminal window. This little box is terminal, and it pops up with the name. All right, so had a couple options. Let's see if we could do less that file. Let's see if it lets me run it. Okay, well, that's all the file says. You see up here, I'm in the, excuse me, I'm in the file. It shows you what the name of the file is right up here. So I'm inside the file now. The only entry is what I copied before, so that's a good thing. All I gotta do now is just search up how to fix that issue. So I'm gonna pull up Firefox, and hopefully this is a quick fix. That's what I'm hoping for. And in fact, maybe my host machine might be just a little bit faster at this. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna put this off screen just for a moment so I can copy it over. So mod probe vbox guest failed. It might just tell us to redo it, right? The answer could be, hey, just restart the machine and start it and do it again. Um, all right, so this is what we get. Super users use a good forum to pull this from. So I'm not running Ubuntu, but I am running CentOS. Let's see what it says. Um, and this is actually a command for CentOS when it does yum. All right, so it says this should be the answer to install all of these things. So in fact, what I'm going to do is because I cannot copy and paste from my host machine over to this beautiful virtual machine, I'm gonna try to find that same blog posting inside this machine. That's a lot of stuff to type by hand. So let's see if we can find it here. All right, mod. Um, in fact, I have it on the text editor right here actually. All right. Okay. So I can do cent OS 9, see if it gives me anything different. But I'm looking for that same blog. Let me see if I can find it. The same forum. Yeah, it looks like it pulled right up. Let's see. Right click, open another tab. Oh man, this thing is really slow. I feel like I gotta bump this up a little bit. I don't know what's going on with this. Okay. So just let you know, don't freak out. It's not your screen. My mouse is literally just moving that slow. I'm gonna accept all cookies. Um, Making it really hard to navigate. Okay, here we go. So we got this part here. Let's go ahead and just highlight all of this. We're gonna do copy and paste, just a control C. I'm gonna go over to terminal, and then let's go and hit Q to get out of the less. And if you're not aware, less is actually a text editor built into terminal. So you actually, just like Notepad would be in Windows, that's what less does. It allows you to read directly in the terminal screen. All right. And one thing we're going to need for sure is sudo. So let's go ahead and put that in first and hit run. It's going to ask for a password. All right, let me check over. I got to put my chat screen back up. All right, cool. No new chats. So let's see. All right, do my password. Once again, that's just telling the system, hey, you're good to go with elevator rights to run this. Let's see what we get. And I was just thinking, one thing I don't think I've done yet is run an update on the system. So actually, let me try doing that. Yum update. It's always a good idea to update your system as well, especially from a fresh install. Okay, let's go and install this. And it looks like it's going to install the kernel as well. And this is like one of the things we were trying to do earlier. I'm telling you, man, working with computers and working with virtual machines, you never know what you're going to get. It can get really interesting at times. Good night, baby boy. That's my son, as always, heading off to bed. All right, so confirmation, I'm gonna hit yes. Say, yeah, go ahead and install that. Now, I'll be honest with you, if I'm doing this in a more professional environment, I will be reading a lot more of this stuff and I'll be checking the packages to make sure there are no conflicts of interest with the system and the packages trying to install. So it's a whole different process if you're in a professional environment. And but for right now, we're just at home, chilling, relaxing, trying to learn something new. And it is it's a virtual machine, right? If something goes wrong, we could just tear it down and start back over. All right. That's the beauty of it. All right, so what I think I'm gonna do while this is installing and running through all the transaction stuff, I'm first minimize the screen again where it was before, so it's not taking up every single thing. Put this over to the side. All right, now while that is running, I'm gonna bring my desktop back up from my Windows box, and I will keep an eye. You gotta trust me here, okay? Trust me here. I'm gonna keep an eye on the other screen, and I'll let you know when we're ready to pop back over to CentOS. Okay. All right. So what were we doing? We're installing Docker desktop on a Windows machine. That is where we left off. Well, that's what we tried to cover last time. We walked through it, but I did not have it on visual, and I did not even know what you were experiencing as a Windows user. You know, I'm going to teach you something. I don't know how it actually works for you as well. So I went through the steps earlier, and let's hope I don't have any more glitches during this session. And what I'm going to do is pull up, first of all, my browser, and I'll probably just use, it doesn't matter which one I use, but do I have Firefox on here already? Let's just use Edge. Hey, I know somebody has something to say about Edge, but hey, I'm just using the browser that comes with every Windows machine. So it looks like, um, what am I going to do? Docker desktop Windows, Windows 10. All right, so this is the link that comes up. So download from Windows. I can jump right to that link. So that's what you can do as well if you're on your Windows machine. And the CentOS box is still loading all the stuff. All the updates are still happening over there, okay? So let's go ahead and get Docker Desktop. Now, to be honest with you, I already have it installed, but I'm going to download it again just for you all because that's how special you are. I care. Yes. Care Bear Stare. Yes. I don't know how many people are old enough to remember that movie, the Care Bear movie with the Care Bear cousins. And I can't remember the little kid's name. At the very end, to defeat evil, he said, I care. Yes, because I care. I do. I do. So I'm downloading something twice on a machine I don't want to download anything on, just for you. Just for you. If somebody could tell me the name of the kid from Care Bear movies and Care Bear Cousins, if you remember that movie, in fact, just drop the name of the movie for me. I might try to look that up myself. I got two little kids. They might want to watch it, take some moments to go back in time with them. I don't know how many parents we got on here, but I think part of the beauty of being a parent is just showing your kids what you went through yourself growing up, Some of the things you enjoyed to see what their reaction is going to be like, really? Really, Dad? That's what you liked? All right. So before I do this, so what I'm going to do is actually go through the full set of steps to install Docker on Docker Desktop on Windows. Now, what I mean by full set of steps, Docker Desktop, from my experience, I've tried it on multiple virtual machines as well as this native Windows box here. It runs into an issue with something called WSL version 2. So WSL stands for Windows Subsystem Linux. It is what is required for Docker to run. Because what you understand is that about containers, and I think I said this before in a previous session, is that containers were really created, within the Unix Linux kernel, right? I think it was actually the Linux side of things. It was made available through Linux, and if I'm wrong, just let me know. But I know it is native to a Linux box. The libraries it leverages to create it to do all the work It's something that Linux pretty much holds. And the people that designed this from Windows, designed it from Mac, they um, they built a way to have that engine available on other platforms. But to make it work, what they're really doing is running a virtual image of one of the Linux flavors you choose, and it runs everything behind the scenes. But you're still running Linux, right? So that's what the WSL is putting Linux on your Windows box. So what I'm going to do is actually just go over here and manual, and it comes right up. Manual installation steps for older version of WSL is what it says. Okay, so there are a number of steps here. So you see here, it takes 6 steps to complete this. We're going to walk through all 6 of them. And yes, I just checked. The CentOS is still running. It did complete its installation, and I'm going to see. I don't understand why this thing is so laggy though. It really is starting to worry me how laggy this other machine is. I don't think I want to run this one anymore. Um, anyway, so let's finish what we're doing here. So let's get the Windows machines ready for dock, and we'll pop back over to the CentOS once we get through these first couple of steps, okay? And we'll pick a point. So the point we're going to flip back over to CentOS to finish out over there is once we start to download the Linux distribution. So let's go through the first 6 steps, and then we'll worry about going back to CentOS. How about that? That'll work for y'all? Let's work through these first couple steps, and then we'll pop back over. All right, so first thing first, enable the Windows subsystem for Linux. So basically all it tells you to do is run PowerShell or command line, um, or the command prompt as an administrator. So if you pull up on your search bar, like I just did, type in PowerShell, it gives you an option right over here that says administrator. Now, I like to make sure I don't know, in a directory of my choosing. I don't like this. Well, I'm an administrator, so that's fine. So, but sometimes they'll pop in like sys32, and I don't like being in sys32 because if you decide to download something, or if it downloads something, depending on what commands you're running, then it's going to download the sys32 folder. I don't like crowding that folder. So, anyway, so let's go ahead and hit copy. Make it real easy. Hey, I'm lazy. I'm not trying to do too much typing. I'm just gonna hit copy, and then I'm gonna click over in the window and right click is gonna paste it right in. You can also do Control V. It'll paste it right in. Hit enter. It'll do all this work and say operation completed successfully, and then we'll move on. Here we go. So second step, requirements, running everything. Um, I know my Windows is up to date. You can always check your version of Windows by doing what I do is I go up here to the Window Explorer, right click. Um, Let me see. Give me 1 second. Here's my PC, and then properties. There we go. And it will tell you the version, the OS build right here. All right. So as long as that is greater than the number is saying you need over here, then you're good to go. All right. Okay. So the next thing we do is step 3, enable the virtual machine feature. So I'm going to copy and paste it again, same way I did it before. Hit enter, let that load up. All right. Where is this link to copy this? All right. Can you be a little clear? Can you clarify for me? Copy what is that? What are we copying? Because last thing I had in was the blog. But what are you asking about copy? Just let me know that and I'll come back to you, okay? Oh, copy the website? Oh, I apologize. So the copy part, so you're talking about the copying of the PowerShell command on the website? Is that what you're talking about? Just to be clear? But if you are, I'm just clicking the actual copy button to the right of where you see PowerShell and that little grayed out bar here. So that's all I'm copying. So I'm not really copying a website particularly. I'm just on a website and I'm copying each of these commands that they're giving on this website, okay? And they've been nice enough to give a little copy feature, a little copy button. What's the website link? Okay, I appreciate you clarifying. Okay. Um, the one I'm using is right here. I appreciate you mentioning that because I need to make sure I remember to do that. So every time I go to a web page, I'll put it in the chat. You're absolutely right. Thanks for that input. It didn't click me the first time. I tell you, I'm kind of slow sometimes, but I will catch up. I promise you. So we just did. So once you go to that website, you'll have the same things we're looking at here. Um, now, when I brought up the Windows version build, that was just a right click on this PC part here, or you can go to the Explorer folder and go to My PC on the left side. But I just use the desktop one and then go to Properties, and it'll show you the properties about your system. That's what I did for that. All right, we're on step 4 out of 6 already. Okay, download the latest package. So we're going to trust that this Microsoft web page has the latest package. So you see, I already downloaded before. Okay, and it says mine is already installed. So I can't show you. Well, I can still hit finish, but it's not going to do anything, right? But when you do yours, you'll click the next button, and then it'll go through a quick screen. It's very quick to install, and then it'll do finish and it'll close back out. So that's it. That's step 4. Okay. And if you run into any issues, obviously it has little notes as you go. And then the very last thing we do before we install the Linux distribution is I'm going to copy the PowerShell. What this tells the system to do is to set the default versioning of WSL to version 2. There are 2 versions, version 1 and version 2. Docker Desktop only works with version 2, so if you don't do this part of it, you might install a Linux distribution, but then when you try to run Docker, it's not going to recognize it because the version 1 stores it differently than what version 2 stores it as. And it makes it develop, it serves it up differently as well. Um, I've been, I want to look into how it works, like, underneath the hood and figure out how to maybe manually transfer some things from version 1 to version 2, because it was the only thing that kept me from being able to run this on my Windows virtual machine once I started going through the steps properly, which really annoys me. I want to see if there's another alternative because um, I don't know, it's going to eat at me until I figure out for sure where everything's stored. All right, so it's saying completed successfully. It's now running version 2 WSL. And like I said, last step, then we're going to switch over, is we're going to download one of these links to the Microsoft Store. I like 2004, one of the latest versions of Ubuntu. I'm going to hit the link. It's going to open this up and then hit get. And if it does not pop up directly, then directly in your Microsoft Store, it's probably give you a little pop-up saying, "Hey, would you like to give permission to load to transfer your, I guess, focus screen, active window to the Microsoft Store." So it takes the Get button and it pushes everything over to the Microsoft Store to download. Um, so I'm gonna hit Get here. It's gonna start to download it. All right. So this is what I said we'll stop, take a pause at. Okay. So let me bring up the other screen where our CentOS is. Let's flip back over just for a moment while that downloads, and let me know if you have any problems. Okay. All right. I'm trying my best to make sure I manage both screens. All right, so it looks like it did complete successfully. I want to try to run this command one more time to see if maybe the update helped. All right, still didn't find a DKMS. That's fine. Let's skip that part of it. Let's go back to the blog to see if maybe we can just go forward with the rest of this. And here we go, this one. And it says try running this one. So let's go back over to the terminal. Let's paste that in. And of course, once again, we'll add sudo into the front of it. And I'm just pressing the home key. I paste it in using Control Shift and V as in Victor, and then I hit the home key and I type sudo space. Okay, you can also just type it out by hand if you want to. So I'm gonna hit yes to this. Looks like it's going to install a few other packages. It knows what it needs to make everything work. So let's get this done. All right, that was faster than the other one. I can say that much. Just doing this final transactions. All right. Okay, so what to expect after this, right? I'm expecting that we can go back through and then reinstall the editions disk, rerun that, um, and everything works beautifully, right? That's what I'm expecting. My luck is going to be something else, or it's going to be like that DKMS is really needed, and I might have to find that package. Now, the interesting part, I've installed CentOS 9 Stream at least 3 times on my host machine using VirtualBox, and I've had 3 different outcomes. So please do not be frustrated with with this process. It's something that happens pretty much to everyone. And that's why I tell people, if you get into Linux, it's like you love to hate something. I don't know if it's you or hate computers. I don't know, but you just love that push and pull, that relationship. We just always just beating your head against a wall. Um, and I'll be honest, I kind of do. I mean, I kind of like it. I love the fact that things don't work the way it's supposed to, and it forces me to learn where to go to find answers and solutions. So yeah, if you have an issue, if it's not running perfectly the first time, don't worry about it. In fact, has anybody actually gone into this and got it to work the first time? Who got it to work the first time? I want to know who had no issues at all. That's what I want to tell me if you had no issues at all, because I'm gonna get jealous. Just let me know anyway. All right, so that is done. Now, there's 2 things we could do here. I can go back over here to activities. I can go to my files. And I can go find my disk. And it looks like my disk is actually, my mouse just froze. When did you know? The mouse just froze. All right, we're back and let's click on this. All right, run software. Hit run. I'll be honest with you, that was very new for me. I have never seen that option before. Things change, man. They make advancements in these operating systems, kernels, whatever you want to call them, so frequent it's crazy. Okay. So it's working on installing the additions. It does take a little bit of time, so this is actually a good sign. You don't want a quick output. If it comes through and just get a really quick output, it probably means something didn't work. All right. Oh, that scared me. All right, so yeah, we just had another issue, right? So file context for output already defined. Let's see what this log says now. Okay, we're gonna go back over to our terminal. I told you it just, I had a feeling this was not gonna do what I wanted it to do. This is crazy. And it just tells me that again. Okay, let me copy the other error. Probably should have done that before. So let me just rerun this. In fact, let me try the alternative that is suggested for what to install. Maybe this one is what I need. And I hit the wrong button. It's actually opening up the inspector. I'm a little curious if these other ones are going to work. So that's the thing about it. So what you'll know, what you'll see here, it also has these other alternatives saying use this. I found this. Okay. At this point, I'm just trying my best to get this done. 6 point. All right, let's try this out. Let's see what happens. Um, there we go. This is what I was looking for. Let's do copy, and I need to open up another terminal. All right, let's do sudo to start with. Paste it in there. Hit enter. Do our password. I'm really just doing this because I want to get that error back and try to see if this works along the way. So let me see if, because that other arrow is really funky to me. It was interesting what happened. So let's run this again. I've never seen that one before. All right, password one. All right. Well, y'all, I can't plan for this type of stuff to happen. I really can't. This is interesting. So first of all, kernel header was not found for target kernel. This is what I missed the first time. I don't know why it's telling me this stuff right here, and I forgot to even look for this. That is exactly, I am something I don't want to say. All right, so I missed that. And for whoever caught that, man, please, please, please don't beat me up too bad. I did miss that. Like, this is the third time I'm doing this, and I've spent like 30 minutes on this already, right? So let's see. Let's go ahead and first of all use the notepad. That's what I was thinking about. Let's paste this over here in the notepad. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to hit enter. We're gonna close that window. I'm gonna use this one, and I'm going to type in u name to show you what this actually does. So uname dash r tells you what kernel you're actually running on your machine. So it's saying it can't find that kernel. Now, if you remember, we had, let's see, one of these responses said how to install a kernel that you don't have. Okay, something like this. Now, all right, let's see what this one does. So all this is going to do is going to populate the, see what it did right here? It had this. So I don't think we need the UEK. The UEK I'm going to take out. Let's try doing it this way. Bam. Okay. Looks like that worked. Because I've never even heard of UEK before, so I don't know what that was doing. That might work somewhere. It might have been an older version. I don't know. But this looks like it's installing the kernels we need now. See? All right, looks good. All right, now let's try one more time what we did. Hopefully this is the very last time. Go over here, run software, hit run, and then type in your password for elevated privileges. Okay. Bring me the gold. Please get me home with this one. I want to get off of this box. Now, to be honest with you, I would copy and paste that link as to what we just looked at, the website we went to. But yeah, hold on, come on. It just said it's not there. In fact, this is what I'll do because I've installed a lot of stuff. Maybe some of this stuff needs to have a restart. Let's just try it on the restart. While we're doing this, um, we'll flip back over to doing the Docker from Windows. So I'm just gonna send the restart signal, pop out of this box. Oh, capture. Yeah, I'm gonna lose all that. That's fine. All right. So hopefully that restarts soon. Let's pop back over to our Docker installation. All right, so we finished the Ubuntu 20.04 LTS. It's finished installing because it says open now. Excuse me. Let's go and install it. You just click the open button. It's going to start running the installation for it right here. See, we can do multiple things. We can multitask, right? I'm installing, doing this and that. And of course, virtual hard disk files must be uncompressed. Um, this day just keeps getting better. Let me see. I'm gonna copy that over. I just highlight and right click and it copies automatically. Can everyone just use Linux? I mean, come on. That's all I gotta ask now. Can we just all using Linux? That's even worse to say, right? Because the Linux is giving us problems on the virtual machine. How about we all just go back to just no computers at all? How about that? Let me see. Um, failed distribution. Let's see what happens. Okay, is there a solution for this? Okay, is this just, I don't know if this is a real issue, it just couldn't launch. Check uncompressed directory. Fat. Okay, let's see what happens if I do this. Bash. Yeah, it's not there. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. Let's see. I like Stack Overflow. I'm used to it. So it's saying here that is not my issue. So the typical response to virtual. Okay, okay. It says it's a typical response. Seems to be making. Okay, so essentially find the package under this one, right click the folder, click the advanced option, and disable compression. Run the launch again. Of course, Ubuntu is listed. Okay, all right, cool. Let's see if that's worked for us. All right, looks like it works for the person that read about it. So let's go and navigate to local packages. Open this up. Let's go local. Okay, that's very interesting. What just happened? Why is it doing this? I think it's having problems showing across the screen. Maybe TeamViewer is glitching on me. Clipboard, quick access, downloads. Let's try this again. Check spelling. Let's just go all the way back. App data. How do you not have an app data folder? Okay, that is interesting. Um, see if it has another alternative to it. All right, tap the Windows R key, enter app data, and tap. Okay, let's just try doing that. Um, Windows R, which is really just for run, and then app data %. Let's see. Got you. Okay, so it's administrator. That's why. Okay, so roaming. Go to local. And let's see, we have packages in here. We do have packages. Okay. Now this. Okay, this looks to be what I'm looking for, and it said properties, I think. Let me flip back over to what the article said. Okay. Okay, right click on the folder, check advanced options and disable compression. Okay, so I am currently right here. Let's close this out just to make sure I do this right. Open, give access, restore previous. I guess it's talking about properties. Read only, advanced. There we go. Compress content, save this. Hit OK. Apply. Just for upload and file. So we'll apply it to everything, okay? Inside of there. Hit OK. All right. I'm just going to double check, make sure that's all it said we need to do. Okay. Run the launch again is all I have to do now. So we're over here. Hit open. Woo! Some people are learning some stuff because I am learning. I know that much. Excuse me. Yes, that is what we are looking for. So if it runs successfully, woo, one thing I did tonight is actually working. So if it runs successfully, you will get this. When you create a new user, I was going to do tester as I always do on my virtual stuff. Let's do a password, more password. Voila, we now have Ubuntu running in the WSL, the Windows Subsystem Linux. I'm gonna hit exit to get out of here. Don't need it up. Okay. Close this out. Whew, I'm telling you, if you just persist, don't give up, you will find your solutions. All right, so let's go and get Docker installed, and then we'll celebrate a little bit after that. So close this out again. Okay, don't need this anymore. That's done. And then my download I did, download folders, um, Docker install. Here we go. All right, looking good, looking good. Let's go and get desktop installed. It's going to say install required Windows components for WSL2. We did all the hard work. We have that installed and it is working. We have nothing to worry about here. So let's go and get this going. Woo, I'm telling you, man, I was sweating on that one. I just needed one thing to work out. So somebody heard me in the universe. So yeah, whew, I have spent hours trying to fix issues. Not this type of issue, but other issues where I've had to dig into scripting and stuff in languages I had not done at that time. I've done quite a few languages now, but sometimes working and getting some of this extra stuff installed in your PC or your whatever, your Mac, whatever it is, you got to work for it, man. You got to work for it. You got to get, yeah. If you want to have fun with what you're doing, you got to work to earn that, you know? I still remember that saying from the movie The Great Debaters, where the dad says, looks to the son and says, he says, you do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. So I had to figure that out because I want to run Docker and show everyone how to do it. So I'm glad this happened, right? This is now recorded. If you run into the same issue, you know what to do to fix it. Because honestly, this is not in my blog. So if you're looking at the blog, great. You're gonna run into an issue I didn't have when I did it the first time, um, and now you will see for yourself. In fact, I don't think I went into installation steps on the blog. I just, went through it on my own time. But I'm glad this is happening live, and you all can see how to solve it. So let's make sure this unpacks properly. Take a little time. While this is running, I am going to check on my CentOS. So please, please do not get confused. I was going to minimize, but I decided to pop it up real fast. Here, let me just minimize this anyway. While that's running, let's go and pop back over our CentOS, trying to multitask, right? We got to make the most of our time we have because we ain't got much of it. But we are almost done, everyone. We are almost done. Now we just got to beat this beast over here with CentOS. Okay, so let's see if the disk is still installed. I think it will be. Let's find out. Yeah, it's right here. Run software. Let's see if let's see if the restart helps some of these files fall into place where they need to be, like magic. You know what I'm saying? It's what do they say? I can't remember the magic phrase. They say auto magic. Auto magic. Maybe there's auto magic happening here. Let's see. Oh, so if you don't know already, why did I choose CentOS? I'll be honest with you, it's probably not the most popular distro. It is probably not the most known either, unless you're just a hardcore Red Hat Fedora person. You probably have never heard of CentOS. The reason why we chose CentOS is because it is probably the most stable and closest to what you would gain experience with within the corporate America world, right? So the corporate world, I mean, so the corporate world usually uses Red Hat. You're gonna have some of those one-off institutions that use Ubuntu, right? Which is viable, right? Ubuntu has pretty much any and everything you could think of, right? I have no idea what the support is like for them, but I know Red Hat gives amazing support when you purchase subscriptions with them. In fact, one of my previous employers, a couple years ago, actually had an entire Red Hat team come out to our facility and help us with our development of some of our programs, some of our applications that were using their platforms like OpenShift and I think one other one, and they were awesome. So their support is amazing. I will tell you that much. So yeah, so I never worked with Canonical team from Ubuntu. Don't know if that's even what the name of the team is, but I'm just gonna say Canonical at this point. Um, but yeah, so either way, that's the reason why I chose CentOS because I want to make sure when we do our future exercises, whatever we're doing, it will easily translate to hopefully your upward mobility inside of your company that you may be working for now. So as you get closer and closer to technology, you may need these steps and understand. You have to have an understanding of what's happening. Oh, well, I don't know if it froze or if it's actually still installing. That's interesting. Let's see. Oh, well, I don't know if you noticed that, but look at there. Also, I think it's already been successful. When did you know it? My luck, the restart had everything automatically work. So if you remember, the reason why we were doing the guest editions was because every time I clicked on my box, I had to do the capture, right? And I didn't even notice it yet. Someone else probably noticed that the capture box was not popping up, where it captures my mouse inside of the virtual machine. That's not happening anymore. Look at that. I can go smoothly between my host and my virtual machine. And in fact, if I do this, it might even resize completely. Voila, we finished. So this little funky value error, wow. So we are good to go. Now we are finally 2 for 2. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop this disk out by going over to the activities up here, hit File Manager, eject. I don't want that disk in there anymore. Thank you. Please get that out the way. All right, y'all. So we now have a fully installed CentOS 9 stream distribution of Linux running in virtual machine. It is fully functional. We have internet connectivity denotated by the little network icon here on the right. So we have internet activity, obviously, because we were able to search the web. It now resizes. Okay, we can go in and out. The only thing that you may want to turn on, and you can actually do that while it's running, is settings. And under advanced, you can actually enable your bidirectional host now, clipboard. You can also add in folders from your host machine into that, and it will appear. So now, if you want to test things out, let me go ahead and take one of my browsers over here. And let's say, hey, I want to copy and paste my blog into here. So let's go ahead and see if it works. Bring up Firefox, and I'm just going to use Control V and paste. And if you don't believe me, in fact, I'll use right click and paste so that we can be friends again, right? Because I've taken you through the ringer of all this so far. Um, okay, it is taking a while. Wow. Okay, let's go ahead and just add a new tab. Thank you. Right click. And if it pastes, that means the host to look at that. So the host to virtual machine clipboard is working. There you go. You have a fully functional CentOS 9 stream box installed. Um, we followed steps from the Stack Overflow forum, and it ended up working. I had to do a small little adjustment to the last one. So you can take your time. You can do one at a time and restart the computer, see if it works for you after that. I've had a number of situations over the years where a restart actually really did fix everything. So it's not just a joke when it comes to tech support. Restarts actually do help sometimes. Anyway, so y'all, I appreciate that. We are done with installing CentOS 9. We will be using this box in the future for other activities. So please keep it available. Let me go ahead and close this out. I will just power off the machine. I don't need to save the state. And we're done with that. So now let's pop back over to our Windows machine. Look at that. Docker Desktop has completed. Hit close. And let's see if we can just open this up now. Ooh, how do you all feel about that? Was that helpful at all? Please tell me those hiccups. Do you think that's a value? If you think working through these hiccups together, watching me go through this, sweating myself to death, trying not to like a total bumbling fool, if you feel like it would be helpful at some point, please drop a one in the chat. Uh, Something you could, maybe work your way through in the future now that you have this clipping of it. Because you never know what kind of problems are going to happen. You never know what kind of problems are going to happen. You really don't. All right, so it says it's starting Docker Desktop. Yes, we have a green in the bottom left corner. I don't need the tutorial. We're just gonna skip ahead. All right, so great, great. Now that we have Docker installed for Windows, I personally have to make sure we cover both ends of it. We have the Docker for Windows, Docker for Mac. I cannot cover. I apologize. I don't have a Mac machine. In fact, I just thought about it. I do. I have my wife's. So maybe I might do a recording doing this on Mac as well if she doesn't kill me for touching her computer. Um, and then show you all what this looks like on a Mac. So, but right now we have the Windows version now up and installed. We're going to go through the steps of signing up for Docker Hub, which is covered in the blog. So let's do that real quick. We're going to go over to Edge, and I'm going to type in hub.docker.com. And the fact that login comes right here. So I'm going to copy and paste this right into the chat, as our friend reminded me a couple times already. That is where we're going to sign up. Now you see I'm already logged in, but all you would need to do at this time is actually start an account. If you don't have one already, you would just start an account here and hit sign up, and you'll be able to start sign up with your email, or I think it even allows you to do Google based on the image. It allows you to sign in with your Google account, whatever you choose to do, right? So that's it. That's all we have to do. So we're signed in here. So do a sign up. And I guess I can show you by doing log out. Let me just do that real quick because it's not going to hurt to sign back in. So that's the sign in. So Docker ID is the account name. So mine is Ricardo Billingzar or R Billingzar04. Then your email address and password. So it doesn't do Google, it just does this. So you do a direct sign up. And then that's it. It's real quick and easy. It's a free website. This is so the hub, Docker Hub, is the free open community registry, I mean, for images that anyone with an account can upload to this centralized location, right? So that's all you're doing is sign up for an account to be able to pull these images down. So I'm gonna sign back in. Hit continue. All right, so I'm back into this. Now you want to sign in here. Once you have an account, you also want to sign in on your Docker desktop. And I believe because I already signed in previously, it sent my credentials through. So nothing to worry about here. So now it's showing I'm signed in. Got my settings. Now, what do you do once you have Docker installed? So you have Docker desktop on Windows. You have Docker on your Linux machine, which I'll bring my Linux machine up as well. So this is my Linux machine. So this is my host machine. As everyone probably knows, I run Docker command from here. So Linux does not have a pretty GUI interface, at least not that I know of. But honestly, I prefer the command line interface. Reason why I believe you have more freedom and flexibility to execute Docker commands. So I believe it's a great thing. I think the command line is even better than the GUI part, right? And for all of you all that want to hang out and stick around with the rest of these sessions we have in the future, we're going to be getting down and dirty with command line for a lot of things. Configurations are mostly done in the corporate environment through command line. You're not always promised to have a GUI, right? If you have one, great, but first of all, GUIs take up processing cycles or power. It takes up on your processing power. And if you can, and it slows down some machines depending on what you're running on it. So my thing is if you can cut all that out and run a slimmed down, um, really bare bones version of a operating system, server, whatever it is, and the only sacrifice you have to make is get rid of the GUI. I say go for it because you want that performance to be put into your applications, not into giving you a pretty interface, right? And I know it can be scary, but these are things we're going to work through together. We're going to learn all these commands as what an administrator would need to know in both Windows, Linux, as we go. All right, so like I said, we have both pulled up here. Right now, I'm gonna click on each of these. So for container, we have no containers running, so nothing's populated. Images, we have no images downloaded. Okay. Volumes, we have no volumes created. So what a volume is a portion of your hard drive dedicated that you're going to dedicate to Docker to connect your containers to. So one thing you want to keep in mind, containers don't save, they don't have a save state, right? So that means if you spin a container up, it's like living in the moment, right? It's just there, and it's like doing what it wants to do while it's running. And once you shut it down, it's like it never existed. It doesn't remember anything. So the way that you ensure that you save the output that's produced from running that container, you always connect a volume to it. You always connect a hard drive space to it so it can write its files as it does its operations. And then what that allows you to do is when you spin the container back up, you can attach the same volume again and continue on like nothing ever happened. That's what you do with volumes. Now, me personally, I haven't had a use to really do much of volume stuff. And like I said, this part, I'd rather do it through command line. So I'll show you some of that stuff later. Images, and that's it. The dev environment, I literally have never even done this. Create a new environment. It's not really important right now. We can explore it later, but right now it's not really important. Most important thing is getting you a image. So what I just did, pop back over to the Docker Hub, and we are going to look for an image. So let's just do Ubuntu. So Ubuntu is a lightweight version of Ubuntu. Very popular, very popular distro of Linux. So what I would do is see if there's any official versions. There's not. Any verified publishers? There's not. So then next, I'm gonna look at for most recently updated. All right, looks like this is the most recent, last 2 months. You also have 3 months. I don't know. This is, oh, it says Ubuntu with VNC and eExpress. So that's not bad. I think that's pretty cool. Then you have Ubuntu here, which is 5 months ago. Let's go with the one that just has the name Ubuntu in it. All right. So what you'll notice here is that there is no fancy download button. Okay. There's not a download button inside of the images on this side either, right? You can search only what you already have included. Remote repositories. Um, this, yeah, looks like if they belong to me, it shows up here. Something I may have pushed up myself, but nothing really available in the GUI. But you do have this little button right here that says pull Docker or Docker pull command. Pull is basically to Docker downloading. So what I do want to show you is that you have something called tags. So when it comes to containers, to the world of containers, images create a container, right? So you can't have a container unless you have an image, which is why we're downloading one now. But the images are versioned. So as the creator of an image adds more functionality, as maybe changes some of the applications inside of the image, or maybe I don't know, sets it up with new ports. I don't know, some simple they may want to change. They'll mark it as a new version, which is called a tag. So you might start with version 1, and then you do some changes. You do 1.2, then you do some major changes. You do 2. So tag number 2. So that's what tags are. There's really versioning numbers. For this one, this person doesn't do any additional tags. They pretty much create it and they push it up. And if you do any pushes, it automatically attaches the latest tag unless you specify a tag. So latest literally is a tag. So that's all this one pulls is latest. And you know the tag because it comes after the colon. That's the tag. And in this case, it's just latest. Okay. All right. So let's go back over here. Since there's no fancy tags, I could just copy this. Click on this. Um, and then go over. And in fact, let me just go ahead and copy. I start about copy and paste this into the chat for the Ubuntu version. All right, copy. Now, what do we do here? Well, what we do is, since we have Docker here, there's no command line. There's nowhere to put the command lines in. I don't think you can do it here either. Yep, you can't do it there either. So cancel that. What you can do is we can use the PowerShell we already have open, or we can just open a command window, a command prompt by typing in CMD and then paste this in. So I have to re-copy though. I clicked around too much. So let's go ahead and copy it again. Go over to my command prompt and paste. We'll hit enter. And there you go. This is our Docker command line in Windows. And for Linux, I'll bring my Linux window up. It's going to be the exact same command. I don't know if it pastes across. Does it paste? Oh, it does. So I can copy and paste across using TeamViewer. That's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and do pull here as well. And hopefully it downloads pretty quickly for you. Doesn't take too long. This is a really small one. So I picked Ubuntu because it literally, like I said, is a lightweight version of Ubuntu. So it's a slim down version with a GUI, typically. But when you use Docker, just to let you all know, you normally use command line throughout the entire process unless you set up a service within the container that allows you to have a visual aspect, a GUI aspect, a GUI, just in case I keep saying it, but I haven't said what it means, graphical user interface. So that's what it allows you to do. It allows you to see stuff. The GUI allows you to see stuff and play around with it with your mouse. All right. So it shows that it did pull just fine. So now let's pop back over to our Docker desktop. Look at there. We now have an image. You can click on volumes. There's nothing associated with it yet. Now, one thing I like to do when I get an image off of Docker Hub, I like to inspect the image. I want to see what it's actually doing. So what the inspect does is it opens up the commands of the what they call the Docker file. And the Docker file is the basic instructions of what to do when executing the image to create a container. So it's the instructions for creating a container when you run it. So what this is doing is starting the service of engine X, is creating a directory, it creates a volume, right? Then it says expose port 80. So that means when we run this machine, it looks like it's actually going to be some type of web-based machine, which means we can access the machine through the web over port 80. That's what I'm getting from this. And then it says it does a git update, which we talked about before. You update when you have Linux typically. Git install, and I think I can, if I click on, yeah, it'll give me the entire command. So git install, yes, the engine X, so if it's not there, which it will not be, remember, containers do not save their state. They just run. So pretty much you have to tell it to do everything within this Docker file. So we're telling it to do run an update, capture, and this is really hard to read on my screen as well. It's not just yours. So update and then update and install, get some other information. That's what it's going to run. And then this is a bash command. Send the command of bash through. And then, yeah, add a file. Okay, that's interesting. If I were on like a really sensitive box, I probably wouldn't run this one. I probably figure out a way to build this version of Ubuntu from scratch. I don't like to ever see where it adds a file in to the root directory. Why are they adding a file to root directory? I don't know. But luckily, your Docker is not going to run this in any elevated privileges because you control that part of it. So it won't have access to your host machine anyway. So I wouldn't worry about what this is doing at this time. But yeah, that's just something that I find a little weird. All right. Anyway, so we downloaded this. Let's go ahead and show you how to run and create a container. So I click on the run button. It says new container. Okay. Optional settings. Here I can name it. So I can say this is Ubuntu weird. That's what I'm gonna call it. Ubuntu weird. I don't like it, right? Ports. This, like it says, a container is showed as exposing port 80, which means the Nginx is a web server, so it's exposing the basic web server port. And then you can connect it to a port on your local machine. So basically, if I do this, when I go to that port on my local machine, let's just set one up, right? So I do 46. Let's do 4615. I just like the 461 for some reason. Host path. This is what I was saying where you can set up volumes. So you can pick your folders and then it will connect to the path of the container. And the container will be able to write stuff and download stuff to that path and save it for future use. You can do as many paths as you folder volumes as you want. All right, so 4615. Let's remember what that was, okay? So it's saying it's running, okay, backend, okay, we'll say allow access through the firewall because it opened up port 4615 for me. So it's just asking for permission to do that. Okay, so looking at this, we now have open in browser because we did attach a port. We have command line allows us to access that machine. So this will, let's click on that first and show you what it looks like. It's going to open up a command line for you. And who am I? This is a go-to phrase, command issued. I'm root. And what machine, what's the version I am running? Well, since tab completion does not work for some reason. I don't know why, but it doesn't. So I know Ubuntu Debian based versions, flavors or distributions of Linux all have the LSB release file. Type that, it shows you running Ubuntu 20.04 focal. So actually, this is the Docker one. This is not the Ubuntu. So let's do this. That is interesting. So I can pull up the browser. So it shows me this here. So this is the port 80. So you see the port I put in, 4615, sent me over to the Nginx web page, which I believe this is a file they copied in. So it sent me over to the web page on port 80 of the container, and that's why you see it this way. Okay, so let's figure out what's going on with this. Because I think they built it off of Ubuntu. This is executing on this Docker, so that's interesting. I don't know why I gave it doesn't say Ubuntu. So let's look at stats or inspect. Let's see. Okay. All right. Well, this is what we ended up with. Let's try it a different way, right? So let's try the same way we do when we do it from command line. So first things first, from our command line, I want to look at what Docker containers I have and see if any of them are running. And this is something that you can find um, in the Docker documentation online. So it shows this one is up and running. So that means I should be able to attach to it. Um, so Docker container attach. And how do we attach? So we attach by either using the container ID or by using the name. So I'll use a container ID, paste that in, hit enter. Well, that's interesting. It's taking a while to do this. All right, well, let's try this because that shouldn't. We do attach to a container. Let's try it one more time because that froze my command line interface. Um, Docker container ls for list and all. I'm pretty sure it will happen again, but let's try doing with the name. Docker container attach. And just to be sure, I do help to make sure that's a command. Yeah, okay, so yeah. So, and in fact, better way to look this up is actually just go over here to Docker. Make sure I'm typing it in right. So Docker container um, reference. Go to the reference guide, and I will paste this in so you all can get here as well. Okay. So what I'm going to do is come over to the left side. So if you ever get lost when running commands through Docker, you can always visit that website I just posted, and it gives you a very long list of the commands you can run in Docker. So like this is the one I was just attempting, which is container, and that's what I thought. All it is a simple command of Docker container attach, and that should bring me into the interface of it. Okay, so I can copy. I can do a couple things, but let's go back over to this. And maybe it's just really delayed because this is slowing down a little bit. Okay. So Ubuntu weird. Oh, spelled it wrong. Okay. I think it's underscore, isn't it? Yeah, it's underscore. That's why. Okay, sweetheart, please attach already. It's taking you a while to think about this. In fact, I could probably do it in my Linux box just a little bit faster because we're right almost at time. So let's do this. Docker images to make sure my image is here. And it should be the Ubuntu, which is right here. I'm going to create a container. So this is how you do it in a Linux interface. You do Docker container, create, give it a name. I'm going to name it the same thing on my host machine, Ubuntu weird. I'm going to issue a few other commands. It makes it interactive. Um, and then issue the image that I want to do it with. And that's it. Oh, wrong one. Wrong one. Let me do this one. Okay, now we can do Docker container. Docker container ls all. Let's see if we have a weird one. We do created 11 seconds ago. So let's make sure that this connects. Docker container attach, and then we're going to paste that in. Oh, that is the reason why it's having problems. I did not start that one for this one. So let's do this. Start. Okay, now it's saying it has started. Now let's try doing attach. Okay. I'm thinking the problem is I don't think that container runs bin bash. That is the problem I'm having. Okay. Well, that is all the time I have today. I do have daddy duties I have to do. For those of you who have followed along, the issue I think we're having right now is we did look at the image makeup, the Docker file for that container, and I don't think it passes in the bin bash. And let me double check this real quick before I go. We can actually see up here if it does or not. Yeah, see this? That's why we don't have a shell. We need the bin bash, and right now it's only starting up the Nginx. So all that means is when we create it, we need to give it a command that bin bash goes along with the creation of it. And that's it. So what we'll do on our next session, we'll just recap this really quickly just to show you that. And in fact, you can probably just find it on the Docker references, but that's the reason why I didn't run. But yeah, hopefully you all have fun. You all learned something today. Check out the blogs once the blog posting once again. Um, the blog is meant for you all to follow along, to learn as you go. And I try to post every single week. Obviously, this week there's not much to post because we just did a huge recap of the virtualization session. But I will tell you, our next start of our sessions looks like we have so far 3 responses who says they want to start learning system administration, where we mount drives, configure networks, modify firewalls, harden systems for Linux and Windows. Okay, so next week we'll start on that session and we'll do a recap of what we've ended up with today. Okay. All right, y'all. Well, I appreciate you. I hope you have a great time. Please, please continue to learn, continue to grow, to continue to develop, and drop a comment, send me a message, and we'll see what we can learn together. All right. Thanks, y'all. Have a good one. Bye.